Now, how do you help companies specifically during a pandemic or the COVID crisis?
Yeah. Look, I mean, the crisis is, I think that as the crisis unfolds, we sit here at the beginning of June, we don't know how it's going to impact organizations overall, but we do know one thing. There's going to be fundamental changes that are going on. Things like, we're no longer, for example, doing conferences at the moment. There's no large conferences, big opportunity to generate leads from conferences. They're not happening, in the near future. What we're also doing is starting to see with clients that there's a lot of change that's going on either at the customer end, where people are being either let go or they're changing roles, or indeed with some of our clients, some of their sales reps are starting to, there's restructuring going on with the sales, within sales teams themselves. The two ways that this data becomes very powerful, the first way is in terms of a new source of leads. This becomes a really interesting source of leads that you've already got. So most organizations spend a ton of effort, time, money, and effort building leads, through conferences and whatnot earlier in the year, pre-COVID. Now's the time to actually leverage those relationships that exist. Some of them that might have become a little bit cold or might be going stale. This is a way of being able to identify where they are and then rejuvenate them. Mm-hmm. The second one's an interesting one, just in terms of restructuring. When someone at the customer end leaves, how do you actually know who else you want to be able to connect with to make sure that account continues to remain active? You don't want to lose it, particularly if it's a renewal. If your champion at that organization leaves, who else in the organization can you go to make sure you continue to actually go through and keep that, you don't end up experiencing churn. One of the ways that we work as well is, when clients when people end up leaving at your own company, if you're doing a restructure at all for your own sales team, how do you make sure you have a full list of all the relationships that already that particular individual rep has, and how do you help reassign them to somebody else that might have to take over their roles? I mean, typically that's done on a very ad hoc basis. What we're able to do is do it systematically. By pressing a button, you can see all the relationships that exist for that particular rep, and you can hand that over or reassign those leads, if you will, or those contacts back to somebody else who's going to be taking that account. And that can be just done at a press of a button.